Would you please raise your hand and keep it raised if you are a developer or a designer? Getting a quick audience poll? Wonderful, wonderful. And keep it raised only if you absolutely positively hate your job. I've got good news for some of you. Actually, no. Like most of you, I love my job. I love being a developer. I hope to do it for a long, long time. And it bothers me when I see articles like this. The end of programming, right? Developers will be out of a job because of AI. And it's not just professional prognosticators doing it. There are actual practitioners who are trying things out. So I set out to find out what's the hype, what's reality, what's going on, and if I can't be a developer anymore, what can I do? So how will AI disrupt the developer's role? Right? That's the question I set out to answer. Now, I'd like to begin with a little bit of history, right? In 1978, IBM put out a brilliant ad about, it tells a story about two men who were watching a building excavation site, and one of them says, you know, if it wasn't for those machines, those excavators, 12 people could have had a job with shovels. And the other one goes, yeah, if it's about jobs, 200 people could have done the same thing with teaspoons, right? Point being, there's always a disconnect between the benefits of disruption and the cost of it, right? There's always a tension. And a lot of it depends on which side of this disruption you're coming from. Right now, we developers rule the world, right? And we're disrupting everything. When people say the word disruption in our industry, it's a good thing, right? And we're asking questions like, who needs a call center, really, when you can do a chatbot? Who needs taxi drivers? Who needs Uber drivers if self-driving cars are working? Or food service industry? Or cashiers? Who needs an executive assistant when AI will schedule your calendars for you? Conversationally. Who needs a salesperson to really understand their client, right? When AI will tell you what communication style your client has and match them with the right salesperson on your end. These are actual products out there, by the way. Who needs a biochemist? Or a nurse, or an X-ray technician, or a doctor, right? We're bringing disruption everywhere. A little bit closer to home, who needs a designer? This product will conversationally build your website for you with styles, with everything. The product down there, you don't need to run A/B tests. You don't need to run like user feedback sessions. It'll automatically, on the fly, without having to do multiple CI/CD deployments. Who needs that? It'll do it for you on the front end. And the real point, who needs developers? How you think about this matters a lot on where you are. But the truth is, if something can be automated, it will be, right? There's a lot of experimentation, a lot of work going on in this place, and there are actual products out there. And how you feel about this depends on whether you're being the disruptor or the disrupted. And the first time in a long time when our jobs might have to change, we will be on the victim side of technical disruption. So that's the bad news. Hashtag efficiency is coming, right? But there is good news. And to do that, I'd love to give you a really, really quick overview of where AI is, right? When Stephen Hawking is saying like AI will be the end of the human race, he's talking about way out there. Something called artificial superintelligence, ASI. Something that's an order of magnitude, several orders of magnitude outside of human intelligence, right? That's way out there. Something that people are saying might be reachable in 20 to 30 years is AGI, human-level intelligence. And even that 20 to 30-year period is based on a lot of assumptions, like Moore's law will continue as is for the next 20 years. So there's a lot of, shall we say, variables involved in those next 20 years. Where we are, though, is way down here. The products you can buy are called artificial narrow intelligence. The other name for it in the industry is weak AI. technical term. So as impressive as all these products are, like if you've seen the new Google I/O demo that Sundar Pichai did and all the wonderful things that are happening, winning Jeopardy, all that stuff, those are still examples of weak AI, natural language processing, understanding, natural language generation, image recognition, all of that stuff. And the symptoms of weak AI are that they're focused on a very narrow problem, right? That's why they're not called general. They are limited and they do a predefined set of things. And if you don't get it right, they're flaky. They could be dangerous, right? The flash crash that happened in 2010, autonomous vehicles that crashed into things. This could be bad if we don't get it right. At the same time, what is happening, though, is these platforms, these means of building AI models and platforms are getting democratized, right? 10 or so years ago, when infrastructure started to get democratized, a lot of things started to change, right? And now a pioneer in the industry, Andrew Ng, is saying that AI will be like electricity, just plug and play. All of these are available to anybody, just as the cloud changed a lot of things for a lot of small players. This will change the game for a lot of people. So all this innovation that you're seeing these days is bound by these parameters, right? It's weak AI, impressive as it is, and there's a lot of chance for failure. Just this month has been a really bad month for AI. Watson at IBM had layoffs. Uber, self-driving cars division, had layoffs. There was a Wall Street expose that said a lot of companies that purport to be AI are actually using humans behind the scenes. True story. So I'm calling it the good news, see it as is, but the truth is the human is still needed in the loop, right? If you have a garbage model, or if you have garbage data, even more so with data, your outcomes will not be what you expect. And that's where our expertise comes in. So I've told you the good news, I've told you the bad news. So what do we need to do? Change is coming, but it needs us, right? How do we surf the wave of progress instead of being drowned by it? This is the only prediction I'll throw out. Just like when platforms, infrastructure got democratized, we got a new role called DevOps, right? And it's a lot about developers moving towards that space, self-serving, right? A lot of that might happen in the same thing. The dev will need to move towards what a data scientist does, working together, getting those skills to build these platforms right and get the best value. So, what do we need to do? Well, first things first, learn to build useful models, right? You can go out there today and within the next 30 minutes be up and running practicing how to build good models. And to build a good one for your enterprise needs you to have that functional domain expertise that you've built up over the years. Crucial. How do you build a model that's good for a 60-year-old and how is that different from how a 20-year-old will interact with your systems? Right? Different user experiences, different user roles. This becomes critical. The second thing, understanding data, right? In the book, Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman says, we as human beings are good intuitive linguists. We are not intuitive statisticians. We don't really get how to work with especially massive amounts of data, right? So you could start with some basics, if you like. Play around with it, understand how data is being used by these models. Even better, once you do that, understand the limitations of it, right? And there's so much bias in the data we have today. There's so much, let's just call it garbage, that if you use it, it will lead to bad outcomes. These are some great talks that I would encourage you to go and listen to. Karina Zona's Consequences of an Insightful Algorithm, and Heidi Waterhouse's The Death of Data, Retention, Rot, and Risk. And they talk about how we do not know yet how to manage our data well, and learning that will be important. That's the technical side, right? The other half of all of this is sort of leaning into our humanity, right? Doing what we do better than humans. It's proven by now. There's so much research that says diverse teams produce better ideas, right? More creative ideas. And when that whole loop of idea to experimentation to product becomes smaller and shorter, the best ideas will win. So we need to, and we're not as good as we should be. We're actually getting worse about things like ageism, sexism, racism in our industry. I'm hoping the machines will help us, or not help us, but force us to be better. Diverse teams. And the last thing, in today's world, AI does not have ethics. The machines do not have ethics. So whether it's mass surveillance, drone warfare, election manipulation, or even inadvertent consequences, right? Unintended consequences, the ethics of the machine are what the ethics of the humans are. So it's up to us to say no to things that we do not want to see in this world. So I'm hoping that we will not be automated away. If we do this right, we will have a job that's more like an augmented workforce. We're working with better tools, solving bigger problems in this world. That's all I have. And I couldn't resist. Thank you very much.